Hi guys, I'm Barry.
And I'm Nate.
Hey guys, it's Bryan.
And welcome to the Collecti-Bros podcast, where three best friends go into the best and the worst of the game collecting hobby. This is a twice-a-month podcast. The first episode goes into our mainline series, Is It Worth It?, where we take expensive games, play them, and then determine if they're worth their value or not. In these episodes, we go into 5 topics such as story, gameplay, sound, price, and collectability to determine if the game is worth it.
Our second episode of the month will cover various topical conversations regarding the video game collecting scene, such as games under the radar, theme-based episodes like consoles or franchises, or just dumb stuff we enjoy, like if video game food was real.
We want to focus on the collectability aspect of video games. We don't want to bore you guys with the news.
We're going to take the time to go around on all 3 of the hosts of this podcast and introduce ourselves, so you guys can get to know us a little bit better. All right, Nate, why don't you go ahead and tell us the story of your collecting journey?
Hey, I'm Nate. I met Bryan in the womb. I departed it 17 minutes earlier, so I am his older brother. We are identical twins. Barry is the third twin in our group. I met her through working at a game store, and we've become great friends. My earliest gaming memory is playing the Atari 800. It was a Donkey Kong port. I played with my mother and witnessed my first video game rage quit, and that moment has always stuck with me. I think the moment I truly fell in love with this hobby was the first time experiencing Morrowind and leaving that ship and seeing this huge world and just falling into a world I didn't know could even exist. It was the most, to this day, the game that has the most impact on me as far as what type of game I like, what I even collect to a degree. Things I really enjoy collecting are the original Xbox. I like Sega properties and systems. I lean towards shooters, RPGs, stuff that I would actually want to play. I'm kind of in a middle ground of this is cool to collect and this is something I want to own. My favorite game series include Elder Scrolls, Metal Gear, Doom, and anything id Software. And next we're going to pass it off to Bryan.
Hey guys, it's Bryan. So yeah, obviously I met Nate in the womb and, I got rid of him first. I stayed in there. Barry I actually met through kind of Nate, but yeah, she's definitely become the third twin/triplet of the group. We just hit it off instantly, had great chemistry, like great friends. As far as my first gaming memory, I would say sitting on my dad's lap and just pushing the spacebar for him as like a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old playing Doom, opening doors for him. And that's what kind of got me into the hobby. I mean, Dad always collected and always played games, but to be a part of that and be experienced at a young age, I think really kind of just impacted me and kept me with this. The first game I remember playing that really just was like, wow, this is it. This is what I love. Man, honestly, just getting Game Boy games from Mom as a kid, to go on road trips and playing games, just constantly playing it anywhere you can go with the Game Boy is awesome because it's portable. And then obviously, the first console I had was a PlayStation 1. And we got that through a turn of events, which is pretty interesting, actually. Our house started on fire. And the church was nice enough to get Nathan and I a PlayStation, and they started the addiction. Little did they know. But that was our first console, and Nate and I we were about that. We loved that. And the earliest things I remember playing on that, we had 2 games. We had Twisted Metal 2 and NHL 98. And literally, when I first started getting back into hardcore collecting, NHL 98 was the first game I popped in. It's not only a nostalgia thing for me. I love the hobby, but there is that emotional attachment to games for me. What I'm into collecting, I mean, honestly, my tastes have changed. I'm very much of like a completionist. I want everything. I think that's very much of my DNA because the first thing I was collecting was comic books, and having those complete runs, it's kind of instilled in you, right? For games, it's a little different, but I love having like a full library. So another sentimental console to me is the original Xbox, which I truly love. I think it's the most underappreciated console of all time. The library is great for it. There's tons of exclusives, so I love collecting for the original Xbox. And again, going with that completionist mindset, Virtual Boy has a small library. It also takes off the boxes because it's something weird and unique. Another one of the things I love to collect, anything that's kind of like, what is this thing? Or this is different. I like to have those items in my collection all the time. And then favorite game series, I would go, obviously Doom. I love shooters. There's something about setting brain neutral and just blowing stuff up that's always appealed to me. RPGs, I love world building and all the lore because people that are more creative than me really makes me envious, and I really enjoy that. Mass Effect for sure is on that list. And yeah, honestly, just anything original Xbox, I'm kind of a sucker for. Barry, how about you?
Hey guys, I'm Barry. I met Nate first. I was actually his boss at the store that we worked at, and then met Bryan through Nate. Ended up hiring Bryan for 2 weeks. So I've technically been both of their bosses, which is fun. But I'm also their third non-biological twin and best friend. I can call you both my best friends.
Aw, shucks.
But we know it's me over you. It's fine.
The first gaming moment that I remember is I was very young. My mom was playing Zelda on the Super Nintendo. I didn't know anything about games at the time. I just remember seeing a little man walk across the screen and cut grass. But the one that really got me into it as I watched my dad play Final Fantasy VII, we had a PS1, and that was also the first game that I had played by myself. So that was my moment into, wow, I really want to get into this. I don't actually remember really what got me into collecting. I think that I just did it so naturally. My dad was actually a really big collector of trading cards. He collected sports cards. So as a kid, he kind of wanted me to get into this card trading as well. And I got Pokemon cards. So it was kind of put into me very young to kind of just, these things may be worth something. They're very cool. Keep them. So as I got older, I just kind of naturally gravitated towards games because they were something I could have and I could do something with them. So the genre that I would gravitate towards mostly is RPG. I think both of these guys mentioned they're into RPGs, but I would say I'm the bigger one of the three. So that's what I naturally gravitated towards and bought. And the next thing you know, I've just got a whole wall full of them. In addition to RPGs, I really just enjoy almost all of the genres. If it has a really good story, I'm in it for the story. If it's got bad gameplay, I can take it. But I want a story that really sucks me into the world. And that's what I look for when I buy games. So a lot of my favorite series are like that. Final Fantasy, very obviously one of them. That's my big one. Very into Monster Hunter, which kind of almost is less of a story, but the world and the world building and everything in it is just so interesting. There's so many monsters to do and so much armor to get. It's a series that really speaks to me in terms of something I would love to play. Another series I'm really into is The Witcher. I've played all of those. In addition to The Witcher, I very much enjoy Fire Emblem. It's a very fun tactical RPG series. And I will also buy anything with an anime girl on the front. That's the short and sweet of the introduction for all three of us. If you're interested in what this podcast is all about, check out our first episode that's already up. Bryan, what is that episode all about?
So for the first episode, part of our Is It Worth It series, we're going to be looking at Jack-Bros. We all played this on the Virtual Boy. It's my copy of the game. I'm pretty excited for it. It ticks all the boxes as part of my collection. Virtual Boy, weird, little print. Hope you guys enjoy it.
So if you're interested in listening to what that's all about, check out our first episode, Jack-Bros. Is It Worth It? If you like this podcast, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Collecti-Bros Pod.